Hi there, YouTube. This is Dominic, the CX guy. Welcome to another video. For those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Dominic. I'm a Zendesk consultant. I've been one for the past 8-something years. I've been a Zendesk partner for the past 2.5 years. I have also worked directly at Zendesk, and I'm here to share some of that knowledge. I also have 8 people working in my team. So yeah, we're continually expanding. And yeah, I'm happy to have you here. We've done over 250 projects and counting. We're still working on new ones. So yeah, today's topic is going to be 3 ways to improve your Zendesk. Now, there's two ways to go about this if you're already using Zendesk or if you have not started yet using Zendesk. So I'm going to cover both examples. I don't have any graphics, at least not yet. I haven't yet started modifying or editing my videos, but I will start doing that in the near future because yeah, I know that you guys want this to be nicely edited, so you can just scroll directly to the part that you're interested in. But today I'm not going to talk about, I'm not going to dive into Zendesk because today I want to have a more I should call it a more general type of discussion where I talk about what you can do in order to optimize your Zendesk or take it to the moon and transform it from a cost center into a, a money maker, so to say. Well, not so to say, but directly, yeah, this is what exactly I have in mind. So transforming it from a cost center into a revenue provider or revenue maker, right? Because right now customer service has made the transition to not just offer customer service, but also it is a means to actually sell more of your product or of your products or of your services. So 3 ways to take your Zendesk to the moon if you are using Zendesk. So if you're using Zendesk, first thing you have to do, so number 1 is you have to do an account health check. You have to go into your Zendesk and you have to see how you've set it up and see what you're having, what is pulling weight and what is pulling you down. Based on this findings, the findings from your account health check, you are going to be able to derive some of the quick settings and short-term and mid-term and long-term strategies into how to improve your Zendesk. So the way, if you don't know how to do one, I will link an example in the description of this video of how to do one, how to do an account health check. There you also see an example of a complex account health check that I've done in the past for a big company, and you can just follow that example. You can just exchange whatever you find in there for your data, and then you will be able to derive some of fixes into your Zendesk account. Number two is routing. So after you will have done your account health check, you will be able to see what tickets are slipping through, if they're slipping through, and you have to revisit your routing rules. So the reason why you have to have a routing matrix is because you want none of your tickets to be slipping through, right? So if considering maybe you have a team that is working already in Zendesk and is working well in Zendesk, but tickets are slipping through. So you want to make sure that every agent working in your team is looking at the right tickets to action based on their skills, based on their proficiency, based on their schedule, based on their whatever metrics you have, based on the department that they are a member of, etc. Right. So you want to have a clear, very, very direct routing matrix, right? You don't want to have complicated matrices. So I cannot stress enough how important it is to have an approach or a mindset of less is more. So the less complex it is and the more direct it is, the easier it is for you to bring on new people in your team, and the easier it is to obviously assign tickets to the right people to handle them, right? So if tickets are being routed to the correct teams and the correct departments to handle them, that means that it's less time for those agents to actually see the ticket, work on it, and solve it. So there's a direct linkage between first reply time and resolution time. So the first reply that the agent takes or the agent makes to your tickets, and then the resolution or the completion of the tickets between so these two, first reply time and resolution, and a good routing matrix and a good simple routing matrix, right? If you have these things well laid out, then it will be very easy for you to have a good customer satisfaction. So the reason why you're doing this is to increase customer satisfaction, right? So this is the arching umbrella above everything. You want to have good customer satisfaction in order to, to have a recurring revenue and people rebuying and renewing their subscriptions with you. So direct linkage between customer satisfaction and when you get back to them, how fast you get back to them, and how fast you solve their requests. So routing matrix is what you're looking for. Okay, so this was point number 2. Point number 3 is a knowledge base. Have a knowledge base in place. You can have a knowledge base for internal processes or for customer facing articles. Okay, so your knowledge base or articles in Zendesk Guide is the most, one of the most, let's say, one of the most efficient ways for you to conduct business nowadays. Why? Because if you document your processes, so internal knowledge, right, that your agents can go in and read, and if you document your product and potential installments, onboardings, flaws, or delays, etc., and if you have those documented, customers can help themselves. They can go in, they can read about it, and they can just not necessarily send you a ticket because they have read the information. They found it on Google, or they found it in your knowledge base, or they found it in your guide that you have in your web widget. So yeah, you have to have a good, very well documented knowledge base. Now I'm going to want to talk a little bit more about the knowledge base because I feel I feel that not enough companies understand the benefits of having a well-documented knowledge base. So now for internal processes, so imagine agents, especially in people that are coming into the team as a freshman, so new people coming into the team, they don't know your processes, they don't know your product. If you have an internal knowledge base with how to solve tickets, like, okay, this is a ticket number, or this is ticket type, whatever, right? So let's imagine you have 5 types of tickets that come into the system most frequently. You have to have some documented processes on how to solve those tickets. Your agents can go in and read those processes, and they can solve the request based on those indications, or based on these articles, right? They don't have to waste a team leader's time for elongated meetings and or also ruin their productivity by always asking questions like, how do I handle this? How do I handle that? Or maybe just they're just having to talk to someone else in the team and having to ask them for guidance, right? They don't need to do that. You don't need to have downtime like that. You want your agents to be able to focus on the requests that are most, let's say, most sensitive, so they can provide the best service. So your customer, you don't lose any of your customers, right? So you don't want to have churn in your processes. So the better you have defined your processes, the better defined your processes are, the more likely it is that your agents will know what to do in various situations, right? You cannot cover, not all situations are necessarily documented or are able to be documented, because some of them are actually special. But 80% of the incoming requests into the system are repetitive. You've seen them before, right? So 80%, that is like, that's 4/5, right? So that's a lot of processes that you already know how to solve, right? So if you have a well-documented knowledge base for your agents, and then if you have a well-documented knowledge base for your customers, right, that is publicly available, then you can very easily just make those customers read articles in your knowledge base and then can solve your request. The better it's documented with photos, right? Click here, done step 2, click here, step 3, click here, and then save. I'm just giving a random example. The easier it is for your customers to solve the request by themselves. Also, on top of your knowledge base that is well documented, you can add the keywords, the buzzwords, right? You can add chatbots, you can add intelligence, right? You can add artificial intelligence, machine learning. You can, if you have your knowledge base well documented. I know I'm sounding like a broken record already, but the AIs can just go in and pull articles based on keywords and just serve those to your customers, again, helping them self-serve, right? So that decreases your agent focus time, or agent intervention time, or agent time, right? So the amount of time the agents spend on these repetitive requests, they can just be solved by AIs. Or obviously someone who does that in your team, who is designated to do that. But yeah, if you don't want to use AIs, but why wouldn't you? So this has been step number 3, right? So knowledge base, so well-documented knowledge base. Now, this has been for those of you who use Zendesk already. If you're new to Zendesk, then second steps of having a routing matrix in place and then a knowledge base still stands. So the second steps, the second and third steps are still in place, and they still need to exist. Now, the first step if you're not using Zendesk, is having documented your use cases. So instead of doing an account health check, you have to have a documentation for your processes. So business processes or customer service processes that are going to be running through Zendesk, right? You don't necessarily want to start your Zendesk without necessarily having business processes in place. You want to start from a solid base of knowing what exactly is going to be filtering through your Zendesk. Because if you're coming from an inbox, like a regular inbox, and switching to Zendesk, or from another service switching to Zendesk, you will have to have your business processes somehow. Not to worry if you don't know how to do that. I will link a video on how to do that. I have done a video about this in the past, so no worries, I got you covered. It's there, but you just have to have the patience, the diligence to do it. It's not necessarily the easiest, but it's not the hardest. The hardest part of the job is actually having the patience to document these things which seem irrelevant or seem too tedious to do, and someone else's job is to do that. No, that is someone who is running Zendesk, who is business ops, or who is the Zendesk admin, who will be creating your Zendesk, or who will be laying out your Zendesk. I have all these processes documented by working at Zendesk and by being a Zendesk consultant for the past 8 years, 8.5 years. So I have these well documented, well perfected, and I can link them for you and help you understand what to do with the Zendesk and how to make your Zendesk efficient. So let's do a quick recap. Okay, so if you're using Zendesk, you need to 3 steps to take your Zendesk to the moon. I know I've made it overly simplified, because if I make it 5 or 8 steps, people are going to be like, oh, wow, that's so much. I just want it to be done in like the 2 steps, 3 steps. So I made a compromise and made this 3 steps. These obviously will derive into more steps, but anyway, anything that baits you into maybe getting things done correctly or doing it right in order for you to have success, right? So this is information picked up from thousands of projects that have been implemented by Zendesk and myself in order to have this, let's say, amazing, this very simplified, amazing way of doing things. And actually refining it throughout the years, this is where it got us. No, if you're using Zendesk, 3 steps to take it to the moon. Do an account health check. You'll see a link in the description on how to do that. Routing matrix, I have a video for you, which I'll link it as well, so you can understand exactly how you can tackle that. And then third is having a well-documented knowledge base. I will link you with an article that I've written, and how you should do that, how you can keep that. Now, if you're not using Zendesk, the 3 steps that you need to take as number 1 is document your business processes, your customer service processes. Number 2, which I will link, of course. Number 2 is a routing matrix, which is the same link as the one before. And number 3 is the knowledge base, which again, I will link it, and it's the same as as if you were using Zendesk. So this has been today's video. I've been a little bit disorganized. I apologize. This is me being not necessarily having a very amazing office in here. But yeah, this co-working space, I'm starting to rock it and starting to, yeah, getting used to it. Yeah, that's it for now. I will see you in the next video. Bye bye. Ciao.